Okay, so yesterday we kind of touched on binomial expansion or multiplying binomials, and today we're going to be talking about factoring. So remember, when I factor a number, I break it apart. So I have 9. 9 can break it apart into its primes, which is 3 and 3, because 3 times 3 equals 9. So in order to do this, you had to have gotten past this page. So turn to this page in your packet and take a look and make sure you've done it. So I'm going to go ahead and review questions A and B. This was multiplying polynomials. You see we have two binomials, which is a polynomial with two terms. The first one is 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1, and we learned two methods to how to do that. The first one was FOIL, where I multiply the first term times the first term. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared, because I multiply coefficient times coefficient, variable times variable. And then I multiply 3x times the negative 1, because the negative stays, so 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Then I multiply 1 times 3x, which is positive 3x, so plus 3x. And then 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. Combine like terms, 3x minus 3x plus 3x cancels out, becomes 0, so my final answer is 9x squared minus 1. The other method we used was the box method, where I would make a box. I'll make it in the upper right hand corner here with 4 windows. The first window would contain the product of row versus column. So I look at my binomials. The first term from the first binomial I'll put in the row. Second term I put in the second part of the row. Do the same thing for the second one, but instead of row I put them in the column. So I put 3x on top here and 2 on the other right hand side. And my answers for the boxes are going to be row times column, row times column. So 4x times 3x is 12x squared. And then I have negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. And then 4x times 2 is 8x. And then negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. I then take my answers from my box, put them in a row. 12x squared minus 15x plus 8x minus 10. I combine like terms. Negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7. So my final answer is 12x squared minus 7x minus 10. So if you haven't done already, when this recording ends, spend the first 5 minutes completing this page, multiplying polynomials on your packet. And what you're seeing you're doing is you're taking a binomial times a binomial and turning it into a quadratic or a second degree polynomial or trinomial. You're taking a binomial times a binomial, turning it into a trinomial, a quadratic, or a second degree trinomial. So we learned that factoring was taking an answer and breaking it apart into its multiples. So if we were going to factor a quadratic, what we'd be doing is we'd be breaking it apart and going backwards to the two binomials that multiply to get to it. So we're going to turn to the page in our packet that has the headline Sum and Product Puzzle Set 1, and we're going to learn how to factor these trinomials. So turn to the part in your packet that says Sum and Product Puzzle Set 1, and we're going to learn how to factor trinomials. And in this case, they're going to be quadratics, which is a nickname for a second degree trinomial. So we should be on sum and product puzzle set 1. If you read the directions, it says in each diagram below, write the two numbers on the sides of the x that are multiplied together to get the top number. In this case, it's going to be 9 on question 1 of the x, but added together to get the bottom number. In this case, is going to be negative 6. So what I want to find out is which group here can get the most of this puzzle done in the allotted time after this video is over. So after the 10 minutes, we're on the clock, we're getting the lesson. Which group can get the most of these done? There's a bunch of them. If you turn the page, there is 4 pages. And once the timer beeps, we'll see who gets the most done. And we might have something special for the groups that does. So let's do the first one together. I look at the numbers on the x, the 9 and the negative 6, and I want to see what numbers multiply to get the 9 and what number is added to get the negative 6. So there's a couple ways we can do this. In your fundamental class, you'll be learning about the greatest common factor. But in this case, we'll start off by saying, okay, what two numbers multiply to get 9? Well, I can do that by just breaking it apart. 9 factors 3 and 3, and 1 and 9. And that's really it. So I say, okay, 3 and 3 are my factors for 9 if I multiply. How can I use this to get to negative 6? Well, 3 and 3 are both positive numbers, but what would happen if I made 1 negative? So 3 plus 3 equals 0. That doesn't work. Well, let me try the other one. 3 minus 3, negative 3 minus negative 3. Well, let me say that wrong. Negative 3 plus negative 3 equals negative 6. So, okay, that works. So I know that negative 3 and negative 3 will work for the first. So I know that negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, is positive 9, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then negative 3 plus negative 3 equals negative 6. So I solved the first one. Remember, we're going to be multiplying to get the top and adding to get the bottom. Why is this cool? How is this important? What we're going to learn after we complete this is that in the next page, factoring x squared plus bx plus c, you're going to notice that if I were to do the same process, and I find out what two terms multiply to get my c value, so this is my c value, 12, and add to get my b value, which is 7, I'll be able to factor this trinomial, this quadratic, easily. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one as well. Let's see here. I'm trying to multiply, get 12, so it can be 6 and 2. Well, those don't add to get to 7. There's no way, so I'm going to scratch that off. I'm going to scratch that. And then I'm going to try 4 and 3. Well, that works. 4 plus 3 equals 7. So I'm going to put 4 and 3. And what you're going to find out is if I put x plus 4 and then x plus 3, those two numbers will, this binomial will expand if I multiply it out and turn into this quadratic. You don't believe me? Go ahead and try it out and see what happens. Okay, so go ahead and start working on your packet. You can either work on multiplying the binomials first, get that page done, and then move on to the sum and product puzzle, and we'll see which group can get the most done. If by some magical reason you get all these done, your group has completed that, go ahead and start seeing if you can factor any of these polynomials. and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.